Welcome to the podcast.
We're back again. More than last time. We're here.
That's true. What have you been up to?
Man, I've been mainly chilling. I've been looking for news because it seems like there's a real news drought.
You reckon?
I think there's a bit of a news drought.
I've been news satiated recently. I feel like I've got like a whole great deal of news crammed down my news gullet for the last, I don't know, year.
Well, you know what it is? It's like I feel like I've been addicted to toxic news for years, and now it's like they've finally come out and taken the toxic news that I like off the shelves because it's bad for me. But now I'm addicted. I'm addicted to bad news.
It's like you've been addicted to bad news heroin for a long time, and to be fair, there is like some new sort of even more toxic news coming out of Russia at the moment. And in a way, that news is like the crocodile of news because it's less regulated. You're a little bit sure where it's coming from, and it's potentially extremely deadly.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. I love Russia.
I love Russia too.
I would consider myself a Russia watcher. Like I'm Russian politics, Russian business, Russian history. I'm just even long Russian books with people who've got funny names. Kazimov, what's that all about? Love Russia. I'm just into it.
Sick. Russia's sick, man. Russia's got vibes. It's like Russia's the giant nation. It's like so put it this way. I've always said that America is the nation that doesn't care whether you live or die. Mm-hmm. Right? America will see you by the side of the road, probably won't help you. Whereas Russia is the place that will laugh if you die.
Yes.
They will if you die on the side of the road, they will go, huh, fool. You should not have been driving with 3 wheels.
That's very true.
It was a foolish move.
I would like to add a caveat to that on the American thing, though. I feel like the West Coast of America doesn't care if you live or die, and that's sort of been agreed upon by everyone who lives there.
Okay.
And the East Coast of America still doesn't care whether you live or die, but they will write a lovely, complicated novel about you after you are dust.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah. That's a great point. It's like
they pretend to care on the East, I think, in the same way that people pretend to care about you in Europe.
True.
Europeans think they care about each other but in principle, their governments should look after people. They don't. That's a whole other thing together. But like, yeah, I think that is a key difference. What is it about Russia that makes you think that they're laughing, though?
You know what? It's like they say the British people have this like gallows humor. Whereas I feel like Russians have this thing that sort of transcends gallows humor, which is just like it's not like gallows humor is sort of like laughing at the idea of tragedy happening, in my opinion, of sort of tragedy happening to sort of make the situation feel better. Whereas Russia, it's like a complete abject giving up on the fact that just like things are not going to work. Things are not going to work for you. And when I see things not working for you, I'm going to laugh because you expected too much. That's Russia for me.
I think like Russia has a sort of like definitely an absurdist sense of humor in that like it's when something horrible happens, it's just funny that it's happened.
Yes,
it's just like, oh no, a giant piano has fallen on man in the street. Classic. But then it's just like, and now a bear is here and tearing him apart too. And he's just like, oh no, I can't get out from under the piano. That's Russian humor.
Yeah, you're stuck under the piano, and then the bear is just eating your fingers one by one.
Yeah.
That's what a Russian would find funny.
Yeah, definitely.
He's laughing more at the bear.
Yeah. The real Russian joke would be the man's crushed under the piano, bear eating bits of him, and then or the only thing that the like Russian bureaucracy is worried about is whether the regulation keys are correct in the now broken piano. It's like that's the absurdity. I don't know.
I think
it's a Russian joke.
Bears are funny. Bears are very funny.
Bears are hilarious. You are currently dressed as one.
Yeah, I bought this tracksuit. I don't know how well they can see it. Let me just give a little.
My little fashion show. This is Traplaw Ross sporting the grizzled look, the grizzled bear. Modelling himself.
Grizzled bear.
Modelling himself on the mighty bear.
The mighty feared bear.
Recently, we have been doing this thing, but I found it very amusing, is that whenever we refer to an animal, it's mighty. And whenever we refer to food, it's a humble. It's like, yes, I'll have the humble orange.
I didn't realise the distinction that we'd been making was between animals being mighty and food being humble, because I suppose some animals can be humble.
That's true.
The humble mouse.
That's a very good point. Yeah, some animals get the humble treatment. It is a bit mix and match. I just it's just highly amused me. I was just like, when you were watching all your scary news, I simply hid my head in the sand like the mighty ostrich.
Like the mighty smart ostrich. Well, the thing is, right, the line between humble and mighty is a fine one. And so an animal that some might not consider mighty from the outset truly does deserve the caliber of accolade that mighty truly is. So, you know, I don't think we should be scared of showing love to the mighty dog.
The mighty. This is the big. It becomes more fun when you can elevate an animal's alleged status through calling them mighty.
Yes.
Just like the mighty dog. I think the dog's might is.
Not all dogs are mighty. Not
true.
all dogs are mighty, but enough dogs are mighty for dogs as a category to be considered mighty. And sometimes that unfairly does lead to a dog that is maybe a little poodle being unfairly referred to as a mighty dog.
That mighty poodle was torn apart by the humble golden retriever.
Wait, what's a big animal that's usually quite docile that would be considered humble?
The humble
hippo.
The humble hippo?
The humble hippo tore apart the mighty dog.
You know, hippos, I think, are the animal that directly kills the most humans, statistically. Technically, it's the mosquito because of malaria and that, but, if you're just talking about which animal, literally kills humans, it's hippos.
Is it really?
Yeah. I think it's when they sit around off the coast and they're very territorial. If they see you, they'll just be like this, just bounding towards you.
They got big mouths, big mighty mouths.
Truly, I would say the hippo is mighty.
The hippo is mighty. I can't unfairly give the hippo the humble moniker that it doesn't deserve. So the hippo is mighty.
Did you hear about Steve? He was torn apart by a humble hippo. He was trampled.
He was trampled by a humble hippo. Trampled to death. To paste, even. He was turned into paste by the humble hippo.
Now that's some news. Local man trampled to paste by humble hippo.
See, that's the news I'm looking for. That is the news I'm looking for. The news is really weird at the moment. I don't want to talk too much about news, but I just feel like...
The news is a general concept, though. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's just like... It's your crocodile heroin news comparison is actually spot on, because it is. I feel like I've spent the last 4 years, maybe not quite 4, but the last few years, hooked on high grade freebase news.
I've been freebasing news for the last 4 years. I think that would be fair, but I think I became a pro this year. This year has been, because my problem often with the news is that, especially American news, is that it's so emotional.
Yeah.
It's always so this person did this and this politician has betrayed their entire... Okay, right, yeah. Whereas the one thing I will say about this year is at least it has forced newsreaders to talk in graphs and statistics and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that's raw fact. I can, you can debate the statistics as much as you like if you want to waste your time, but news presented to me in facts and figures. I love that. That's great. I want all my news in graphs.
I want all of my news to just be numbers.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the words, right? When I open up the Financial Times maybe isn't the best example. When I open up the Guardian, I just want to see it. I just want to see news by the stats. This could be a good little startup idea for us.
Yeah.
We just start a business. It's news by the stats, and it's literally just right. This many people died of whatever today. We don't need to talk about that. This many people were involved in this. This many people were involved in that. This number happened. That number happened. This amount of money was made. Don't worry about feelings. I don't want to know about how feelings were up 30% today. The Dow Feelings Index was down by 30 points. Ooh. That's what Twitter should do. That's Twitter stock, is the feelings index.
Twitter is the feeling index, you could argue. Yeah, it's just because that's all you can put on there. There's never been a viral tweet that was just fact-based.
Okay, so if Twitter, the feeling index, was a stock market floor, what would people be there? Would people be like, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. I've got some outrage. I've got outrage at 12. I've got outrage at 12.
I've got misery. Don't forget that. Wait. I've got feeling superior to somebody. And everyone's just like, oh yeah, I want in on that.
I've got a dress here that looks like it's one colour, but it's actually another colour.
Twitter is...
I've got a cat with 3 legs, sorry.
Twitter is just a feeding frenzy of negativity, essentially.
It is.
Because then because it's... Most tweets, right, in my understanding of Twitter, are in reaction either to one tweet or like a general feeling that other tweets are speaking to, usually the news. So it's very reactive, the tweet, and especially the Twitter conversation. So like it is like a feeding frenzy in that like one actual original piece of information, news, or even dare we think a funny tweet gets like plunged into the water, and then all these piranhas just in there until the water just resembles like fucking tomato soup.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's just, I don't know, the thing with Twitter, right, is there's just so many, it's like this, is Twitter representative of the opinions in society?
No.
Why is it? What's missing? What's not right? As Twitter, people have called Twitter, it's the perfect public square. It's the digital public square. Like, what elements are they missing to be good? Because it's shit.
It only appeals to a certain demographic, and I don't know what that... I mean, it appeals to many demographics, obviously. But, like, it's a small sector of society. It's like, it's not representative. First of all, it skews young, obviously. So that's a major thing that means that means it's very out of sync with like what voters think, because voters generally are old.
Yeah,
so
they're old.
So that's why Twitter is always just so range. It's just according to Twitter, this person should have won this, and it's just like, that's because all the people who voted aren't on here.
Yeah,
Holmes.
That's a really good point. Actually, it's got like this. Maybe not the word bias, but just like this inherent like skewed view of reality. Of just like you think you're seeing reality. It's like a bad lens to view reality through Twitter.
Oh, definitely.
It's a really bad lens.
It's certainly a bad lens to view like contemporary culture.
Yeah. The culture wars are being fought, apparently.
Take a side. Culture wars are being fought between people.
The people, the goods and the bads. Are you a goodie or a bad? Are you a goodie or a baddie?
I don't know.
Answer.
I just want to make little jokies.
That's Twitter.
I just want to make jokes. That's my problem with Twitter, is that, again, there's always sides being taken, lines in the sand being drawn, and I just find that frustrating. And I just want to sit here and make fart jokes.
One must bury their head in the sand like the humble ostrich. The mighty ostrich.
The mighty ostrich.
I forgot how mighty he was. She, them, they. Twitter.
Let's not think about the internet. Let's think about the real world. It's a sunny day today. Will you be getting outside in your bear costume? It looks like, or are you ready to hibernate, much like the humble bear?
The humble bear. You know what? I might get out today because got out yesterday. It was quite nice. This bear costume I bought because I was for the warmth. Right? It's too warm. I'm hot now. I'm hot. So I probably will go outside. I believe today in the UK it's -1 degrees outside.
Really?
Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? I get these mixed up.
Celsius. Fahrenheit's the other one.
C. It's -1 C with a little O next to it.
Exactly.
So that's what we're dealing with.
I hated
Freezing.
it in school when they first started to teach you about like the numbers and letters that go up, and small in the corner of other letters, like when something's squared.
Yeah.
Or, Celsius,
Cubed.
Fahrenheit. I was just like, this wasn't part of the rules. For the last 3 years, I've been taught to write between the lines. Occasionally, some of the letters were bigger than the other letters, and there were spaces between them. I confronted that, but no, I draw the line at tiny little letters and numbers that go in the upper corner of the larger numbers. That was the point where I stopped learning.
It's a joke, because you know what? At school, right, these liars, the library, I call it, with the emphasis on the word lie, because they teach you at the start, they say alphabet, 26 letters, this is all you're going to need. Bollocks. You go into the one woman in the English room, she's telling you these 26 letters are all you're going to need for the rest of your life. You're equipped now. You don't even need to be in school anymore. You go into the next room, the maths room, they've got a little 3 next to the number. What's that?
Evil.
I know.
Fuck school.
Fuck school, man. Get rid of it. I say get rid of it. In the UK at the moment, there's a big thing going on at the moment where they said they were going to send all the kids back to school. They sent them back for a day so they could all get corona, and then they sent them back home to do homework, which is I guess, give your family coronavirus.
Yes.
But it's like there's a big thing in the UK of like, when are the schools going to open? And apparently on Twitter, all of the parents are getting annoyed because now they're being forced to do homeschooling. They're finding out how shit the curriculum is.
That's good. Well, I mean, as someone who actually has has already aired grievances at the traditional British school curriculum,
Indeed.
I'm all in favour of this. I want more and more people to realise that it's wank.
So, Super Nintendo Ordinary Things, right? Super Nintendo Ordinary Things,
Yes.
right? You're coming in for an Ofsted inspection, which, if you don't know, in the UK is the School Inspector Board,
Yeah,
right?
that's me.
You're taking a look at the school. You're in power. You can change things. You can change policy on school. It's up to you. Curriculum's up to you. What changes we making?
Well, first of all, just to get serious for a moment, 'cause I actually have a real opinion on
Ooh, a real opinion.
I think the literature course in British schools is rubbish. They teach them books that no teenager wants to read. Like, teenagers don't want to read Shakespeare. They want to read stuff that's about their life, or has gangsters or cowboys in it. Let kids read stuff that they actually enjoy, not fucking the Brontes. I mean, I like the Brontes, but most people don't, and I think that's fair enough. And,
What should they read then? 3 books.
3 books. God. All right, I think people should read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because it's really exciting and it's got crazy people in it and it teaches you about like your head and that.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good book. It's really good. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Great.
I think they should all get one choice to read something interesting, and then the teachers should stop being lazy and actually like let kids read what they want instead of something on the curriculum.
Be like, sir, I want to read the KSI 2021 annual. Can I read that?
That should be completely allowed because that person is clearly not interested in literature and will probably gain more from reading a whole book of something they enjoy rather than something that they don't, I would argue.
Sir, it's a sticker book. There's not actually any words in it. It's all just pictures of KSI with his tongue out.
Well, then you can just sit in the corner and drool like you usually do, Timmy.
Yay! That's what I wanted. Finesse.
But now, so that's the real thing I would do in schools. And now,
Sick.
What would I do to improve them generally? No maths.
No maths. How many maths? None.
No, real maths. Teach kids how to do their taxes.
Nice.
Why that's not in the curriculum? Insane.
Yeah, that is dumb.
It's really annoying.
It's ridiculous. But you know what it is? It's because, right, that exposes the ultimate lie is that school is essentially just preparation for you to have a very traditional 9-to-5 job. And in those situations, your taxes are handled for you and you don't have to even worry about it. And the unfortunate circumstance of that is people don't understand why or how their money's being taken from them by the government.
Well, this is why I don't like school, because it essentially prepares you for a life of being told what to do.
Yeah, being a little bitch.
Being inferior, being in a hierarchy. Because there are the teacher-student hierarchies, and then, of course, there are the hierarchies that kids make for themselves, that humans arguably make for themselves. And that was where I struggled most in school. And I didn't like the hierarchies. I didn't understand them.
It's funny because it's like they put you in these hierarchies and it's like school is where you go to learn, and you immediately learn, like, oh, there's basically nothing I can do to improve my social standing. I'm going to be categorized based on my appearance, mainly. And I'm stuck in this situation for 5 years. I can't change it. In the real world, if someone treats you like that, you punch them in the fucking face and you move on with your life. You go find something else to do. You change your name and you never come back to that bar. No, but for real, like, yeah, it's teaching you the hierarchy and shit as a youngster. I mean, it's like, that is perfect utility in a world where it's like, yes, kid, your future is going to be shit, boring, structured, nothing exciting is ever going to happen to you. The same day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 is going to happen to you every single day. Don't get your hopes up, kid. That's wrong. That's
wrong. But to be fair, it does set you up for most of life. At least it tells you what to expect. Were there cliques at your school? I know cliques are like a really they're more defined in America, and at least that's my experience talking to Americans. Whereas I think like cliques are a little bit more, they're subtle but so a bit more damaging in the UK, because at some point you're like, you don't even realize you're in one, and then you're like, oh no, it turns out I have been in one this whole time, but I've been tricked.
The lines are blurred in the UK, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
In America, you've got brand name cliques, you know? Whereas I feel like in the UK, it's sort of like more of a loose, interconnected, sort of free-flowing, because it was more like, we had sort of like the dorks. It wasn't the jocks, but it's like the football boys, the dorks, that's me, the sort of, I don't know, the sort of like naughty kids, which were sort of, I don't know. I don't want to incriminate any naughty kids from my school, but they were up to all sorts of badness.
I would like to think I sort of I went from I spent a bit of time with the dorky kids, obviously, because I am a dork.
Mm-hmm.
But I never found like my dorks at school. That was my problem. I felt like I was maybe I just thought I was special, but I thought I was a specific genre of geek / nerd that I didn't see myself represented in the wider school social pool.
So what you're saying is that you thought you were cooler than all the dorks in your school, but you weren't as cool as the cool kids.
Yes, that is probably actually quite accurate.
I mean, I'm not entirely making fun of you.
No, I mean,
like...
I didn't realize that was what I was saying, but now that you've summed it up, that sounds about right. I was a geek with ambition.
It's like you're
beyond my station.
But that's fine. It's like you're too cool for the geeks, but you're not cool enough / you don't want to fit in with the cool kids. Yeah. And unfortunately, being school, it's such a rigid hierarchy structure that there isn't. It's not like real life where it's like, well, I'm going to go and find the people that are cool enough and fit in with my idea of what's cool and geeky, like you can do in a vast, infinitely based universe where there's all sorts of different people. You're stuck in school with the same 30 snot-nosed pieces of shit that are boring.
To be fair, I feel like I did find my people later on, which was because as you get older, actually the geeks who think highly of themselves start to get a little bit bitter and twisted, and then you get to about the age of 16 and 17, and then a new genre of geek emerges: the pretentious arsehole who wields his or her obscure knowledge in a way that makes people feel bad about themselves. I think I joined that crew for a while.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Started watching Twin Peaks.
Nice.
Got a stupid haircut.
Yes.
Started dating women who were
weird.
Emotionally complicated.
That happens. That does happen.
Yeah, and I think I came closer to being a more rounded human being. At least I found the clique at that point.
Who were what were the characteristics of the cool clique, or perhaps just the clique you didn't like?
I called them the preppy clique.
The preppy clique.
Which I think is an Americanism that I've stolen from Saved by the Bell, as Zach Morris was frequently described as preppy.
He was described as preppy.
And
preppy makes me think of like the Macy's, Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in my school, there was that well, I wasn't cool enough to hang with the real cool kids.
Yeah.
They scared me.
Yeah.
They were out drinking and when they were very young and doing all sorts of things. Whereas the preppy group that I sort of aspired to, which had attractive women in it, I thought at the time.
I see why you wanted to go with the preppy group.
That was a bit more like, people who were a bit more sensible. They were like not cool necessarily, but certainly they were normie.
Yeah.
And preppy and normie, I suppose, now are kind of like into exchangeable or whatever. Yeah.
Well, there came a time over the last 10 years that the nerds became cool and everything flipped. And it was sort of like the nerds sort of became cool in culture. The jocks sort of became less cool. And then the middle ground kind of emerged as more of a contender of the sort of like arty, cool. I mean, I don't know, kids now, cool kids. I don't know, this is probably going to be showing my age, but they're probably fashion-y, cool young kids that are into fashion and hype stuff on the internet and meme, cool things. I sound about 70 now.
I think there was a moment in like 2010, 2011, where maybe even before that, it was rumbling before that, where geek culture became the mainstream culture.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like video games are currently the most profitable art form in the world.
Yeah.
The biggest movies in the world are superhero movies that in the 1970s, if you were walking around with comic books, you would get a wedgie and be hung atop a coat hook for. And now...
the wedgie on coat hook.
This one,
help! Oh, help me down, guys! Oh.
Say what you will about the 70s, but bullying techniques were absolutely A-class in towards the end of the 20th century. The atomic swirly, of course.
What's an atomic? Describe the atomic swirly. I don't really fully understand what that is.
But grab the nerdlinger by the back of the head, preferably with like a fistful of greasy hair.
Yeah.
And then you put now I'm describing this. It seems like some Guantanamo Bay shit. But then you would put the head of the child in the toilet and then would flush. I don't know exactly what made it atomic though. Is the atomic is that you're just holding their head underwater?
Yeah, like torture.
Like literally torturing someone.
Well, guys, you know, the US have recently been defending their atomic interrogation techniques, and turns out they were bad.
Turns out you can't swirly a terrorist. Now I think about it, I think it was the atomic wedgie. The atomic wedgie, I believe, is the wedgie that goes over the head. Or the pant
goes
pants.
so high it goes over the head into a hood and potentially over the eyes of the victim, therefore rendering them incapacitated as far as sight goes.
Of course, the head is a means to an end, because what's really happening is that the pant line is being stretched to the point of sumo wrestler wedgie style, that it is just like lodged in your crack. Because really, like, what they're doing is molesting you with your own underpants.
I've never thought about it that way, but it really is actually quite a horrible sexual assault. The atomic wedgie.
It's definitely. It's torturous almost. Yeah. It's horrible.
And also, it's like there's a certain sweet spot where it's like you get so much elasticated give from the pant over the head of the dork that it sort of begins to pull their head back. And they're sort of completely incapacitated like a turtle on their back.
If you force them into this position, you really have won. You've basically hog-tied them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do.
Tied them up like a mighty pig.
The mighty pig. The humble pig.
The humble
I feel
pig.
like pigs are humble.
I breakfast.
Delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Because the more delicious an animal, the more likely it is that I will personally describe them as humble.
Yes.
Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I hunger for the taste of the humble pig.
Or the humble beef cow.
The humble beef. Yes, exactly.
And it's delicious discs of beef that are enjoyed in between bread by many across the land. I swear my eyesight's getting worse because I keep just peering over to get a little look at myself on the screen / see how long we've got left. Can't see shit. I swear I'm losing my sight. What do you think?
I mean, I have this problem as well, and I do wonder if it's sort of a lockdown syndrome of staring at screens constantly might be doing it. I mean, like, this baby has definitely not had the best effect on my eyes, but I've been playing HalfLife Alyx, and it's been just the last couple of days. I know I'm late to the party. I know this game came out years ago, but wow.
What's good about it?
It's so immersive. Like, you really feel like you're in a completely new space, and so, which in these days, quite a good thing.
Yep.
That's amazing. The level of detail is just... Because in a way, like, the graphics are, like, as good as a general game you'd play on, like some sort of chump on a screen.
Loser.
But but you're just closer to the detail, so you can really see it. It's like you're always in, you know, in other video games you can be in like photo mode and you can get real and you can really appreciate the graphics or whatever. It's like you're playing like that all the time because you're just constantly able to like put your face closer to these like assets and stuff, including zombies which have literally had their guts ripped out. So like gore is viscerally exciting in a way that it hasn't been since I was like 12, you know.
What's the most scared you've been playing it?
There's this bit where, like, you have to hold, like, a torch and a gun at the same time, and you're in the dark, and then you just walk around, and there's, like, a zombie right in your face, and you're like, ah!
Yeah, fuck.
It's
That's scary.
It's really scary, to be honest. Like,
the humble zombie.
Scary zombie. I like to think I like horror, I like scary things in general, but I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to games in general, because... It's actually, especially in there, when it's literally like there's a head crab on your actual head, or it feels like it. There is.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
it sounds terrifying.
It's really good. I'd really recommend it though. It's really fun.
I have played. Full disclosure, I've played like the first level, but I haven't really gotten to any action. I don't think I've even held a gun in it yet because it's taking me so long because I'm so immersed and amazed by every single room that I literally have to spend 5-10 minutes just picking up and examining every virtual object in the room, and I've not got to any action. Because every time I go in a room, I'm just like, oh, how can I interact with this paint can? Ooh, how can I interact with this detergent bottle? And it's like, I could do that in my own fucking kitchen.
Well, this is the lockdown thing again. What you've been seduced by is roomal variety.
Roomal variety.
This is what I've been saying. I said on a previous episode of the podcast that that's what I miss in lockdown. I miss new rooms, new, exciting, bold rooms that take me in new directions, like to a different kitchen.
To a different kitchen. Oh, I miss different kitchens. I mean, I think of kitchens gone by that I care to remember, you know. Kitchen islands.
Oh,
kitchen islands.
I aspire to the kitchen island.
Oh, I'd love
to have an island in your kitchen. What privilege. What excess.
They say no man is an island, but you should see my kitchen. No, but for real, kitchen island. Oh, haven't been in a kitchen with an island in it for years, perhaps. You know, those cool magnetic things that you can stick your knife to. Oh, would love to see one of those.
I'm always impressed by high-tech kitchens when I walk into them, because I'm just like, this. Whoever owns this kitchen, they're operating on a higher level than me, and I can only give them respect.
Oh man, good kitchens. Trying to think of good kitchens. My buddy Miguel, shout out Miguel. I saw his kitchen a year or so ago.
The break. You were talking about your friend Miguel. Tell me more.
Oh, my buddy Miguel, he cooks stuff. He's a cook of stuff. He cooks good stuff. And, oh, man, it was probably over a year ago now, but I went around his house, dope kitchen. He'd done a bunch of stuff, DIY on it himself. It was lit. It's sick. Sick. Shout out him. But, yeah, man, it was like, to see someone that's like a pro chef and then, like, invest in their kitchen, it's just like, it's just a no-brainer. I don't know. It just makes me think. It's just like, yeah, like you need to just be surrounded by like the best fucking sick utensils, the best surfaces. Like if you're going to cook shit, you need the perfect environment for it. And it's like, it's those experiences that have just made me realize it's just like, it's so good to like invest in your space. And as a man that's been recently upgrading their space, I don't know. I feel like it makes such a difference. This goes back to room or variety.
Yes.
And you know, there's complete room or variety, but there's also variety in the things that are in room.
That's true. I mean, I found myself recently, because there's not much to do. I've been seduced by consumer spending.
Hell yeah.
Buying gadgets and such.
Ugh.
And
would you say you're something of an inspector gadget?
I would not. I would say I'm an intermediary gadget user.
Intermediary.
But when it comes to the kitchen, I find myself kind of tricked into doing labor that I had previously not done. I mean, like the coffee beans are an example of that. Of just like,
yeah, that's true.
Of just like, oh, a coffee grinder. I'd love to own a coffee grinder. Wait, you buy coffee that is not in bean form and therefore does not necessitate grinding. And I'm just like, well, I better, instead of going, oh yeah, good point, I can just move on with my life, I go, oh, I better buy some beans then, thus adding an additional chore. I've paid for extra chore time, and yet it's worth it. I'm glad that some chores improve the rhythm of your life. Discuss.
That's a really good point. I didn't realise that, but we've kind of been finessed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we've bought a bean grinder. Now we can drink freshly ground coffee beans. We were buying beans that were already ground.
I know, and yet I'm not going back.
That's like saying, that's like the fucking, we've got a dishwasher. That's like getting rid of the dishwasher. It's like, finally I can have freshly cleaned hand-washed plates. Washed with my own stupid fucking hands.
Yeah, that's like me. I was browsing and I'm just like, ooh, luxury dish soap. Oh, that would be great. I can't wait to put that on my dishes. Oh wait, I have a dishwasher. Oh well, I'll just stop using it then.
That's like
and instead of cutting out the middleman, I've hired a middleman.
It's like, for fuck buying this new house, man. That pile of bricks looks appealing. I'm a cop that pile of bricks. Put that shit together myself. It'll be fun. It'll be freshly built house. I want my house to be freshly built. To be fair, I mean, this house is a new built house, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't know, man. Assembly. There's something about assembly. That's why people like building Lego. That's why people like building IKEA furniture.
I love building IKEA furniture. Whenever I buy something from IKEA, I'm just like, yeah, adult yet Lego. Adult Lego, finally. And usually cheaper than child Lego. Have you seen the prices on Lego? It's fucking insane.
It's ridiculous. It's a racket. It's a racket. Do they own the patent on that size brick? Is that why it's like patented brick size? You can't make bricks in this size or configuration, or we will literally come and smash them up.
It must be, because there are though the alternative Lego, the Duplo. Wait, no, is Duplo owned by Lego? I think it is.
I think it might be.
But there's other.
Is Duplo like two size Lego? It's like Lego for people short of sight.
Yeah.
Me.
But there's the off-brand Legos that you get, and which are markedly cheaper. But like Lego recently, or in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, have been jacking the prices up of their things by just adding IP to it, of just like Star Wars Lego, Harry Potter Lego.
That's been a massive earner for them though, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it must be, but I have zero interest in that. Like, I want to make my own stuff. I want to make weird little dragon creatures of my own design, which you can do with a general Lego piece, but just like the idea of like making something that's to do with IP, that sucks all the creative joy out of Lego. I'd rather just play Minecraft.
I was just about to say, Lego's fucked since Minecraft came about.
I agree.
It's like Lego, but it's virtual, and you have unlimited blocks that are free, and you can just build them and save your thing, and you don't have to worry about a bigger boy stepping on it.
Do you ever have Lego sets as a child?
I had like loads. So what we would do is I would go to like the car boot sale or swap meet for you Americans kind of thing, a yard sale type thing. I would go there and just buy all the loose like random bags of Lego that I could find, so that I would just consume bigger and bigger Lego sets. And I eventually ended up just a giant box filled with assorted Lego bricks. So I would get that, but I would never. See, for me, right, as a kid, I was always a collector. It was all about, I just wanted to acquire all the Lego bricks. I didn't want to build anything with them. I just wanted all the bricks. I didn't want to play the Pokemon card game. I just wanted to own them.
You were a consumer from the start.
Pretty much.
Gatherer.
Yeah. I liked making lists of things I was going to get. Or like, I liked getting all of the Lego bricks and arranging them, but not building anything out of them. I don't know.
You're much like the mighty magpie.
Yes,
you were more involved in the acquiring the shiny bits than putting them together in the little.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Well, also I used to collect a lot of toy cars. Obviously, as somebody that likes cars and wants to have lots of cars, I have one car. That's great. But like, collecting the cars, you didn't have to be sitting on the carpet going with them all the time. You just got them shits in the garage.
I was not as big into toy cars, except for the Hot Wheel, unless they were of the Hot Wheels variety.
No, the Hot Wheels.
I was more of a make-believe player as a child. I liked to just like make up nonsense in my brain. Usually there was little stories with the Hot Wheels. It wasn't very complicated. It wasn't like the driver was dealing with a messy divorce or whatever. But like he had to go over the big volcano and then land at the other side of the volcano. There was like a reason.
Yeah,
there had to be a reason
to get his wife back.
Yeah, exactly.
To just jump this volcano, she'll see the value of me.
That wouldn't surprise me if like my parents just like looked in the room and I was just like had the little drivers and they're just like, and this driver and that driver are having a problem with this driver who is actually both their lovers, and it's like a love triangle. It's just like, this kid's gonna be weird.
And then he crashed his car because he was having an existential crisis whilst he was driving it over the volcano. And then crashed into it and burned into a cloud of dust.
Did you have the volcano Hot Wheel set? It's the only one I remember. My parents bought that for me, and I loved it. I was sat in the middle of my room that I shared with my brother at the time, and it was just like cars going up and down and they landed. They'd go up.
They landed.
I think so. At least that's what I remember in my childhood. We would like go up, and then they would come back down, and then view into this like cool orange track. It's sick.
I never really fucked with the Hot Wheels, not through any dislike, but I was more on the like corgi, like the replica car type things.
Old man car
toys, yeah. But like distinguished man car toys.
Yeah. Much like the humble cigar. It's sort of old fashioned but respectable.
I smoked a lot of cigars as a kid too.
Yes,
so, just like looking at my little like Jaguar 1 of 40 model, just like, oh, it's a good model. It handles well. A lot of boot space in there. Very good model, that.
So you must have come into your own once Pokemon cards were on the scene. Because that's
king.
all about collection. Because it's the thing, there are two forms, as a child, there are two forms of Pokemon players. There are those who want to play the game, and those who want to play the real game, which is about accumulating capital of cards. High value.
Well, the thing is, right, at the time, I just wanted to be the very best. Like, no one ever was, And to catch them all was my true calling. I've forgotten the lyrics.
I was just going to hum it. I was like, hold on.
I forgot that. I thought I could have kept going. Was it? I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. Dun, 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 dun. Catch them. So to catch them was my real quest.
Yes.
But to train them was my cause.
But did you play the game much? Were you actually like putting the cards on the floor, on the playground floor, and playing with the guys? You know
what? Despite what I said earlier, I was actually, at least in my school, I was a bit of a like driving force for the playing of Pokemon.
Oh, really?
So I had the mat because I had the best collection. I would always just demolish anyone I played.
Well, this is the thing. So if you have the best collection, it is within your. It's advantageous for you to make the game important, because then that increases the value of your collection by increasing the Pokemon's relevance on the.
Yes.
It's important. It's good.
So I remember so vividly one Pokemon card scandal from when I was a kid that I think taught me a lot about life. The fact that this is so seared on my memory as what this probably was quite an insignificant event. It really means something to me. Maybe this is what convinced me to catch them all. I remember I was a kid. When Pokemon cards first started kicking off, right? I had the booster deck set. It was the 60 card set that came with a shiny Machamp and enough cards. It was essentially all the cards that you needed to play a game of Pokemon. It would come with the counters and shit. And anyway, I just remember really young, another kid at school basically finessed me and would like, oh, you know what we should do? We should keep all of our Pokemon cards together in one big collection.
Oh, that kid's a genius.
And then we'll have the biggest, best Pokemon card selection. I was like, fuck yeah. And I've got way more than you. So, that's amazing. And we did it. And they were like, yeah, you know what would be another good idea? Is I looked after this collection, took it home with me. So I'm going to look after this collection of cards. And so, like, we got the sickest, but I'm going to, they're just going to look after it. So they went home, took all my cards with them, and I was like, yeah. And I got home, I told my mum, I was like, oh, me and my friend, yeah, we've combined our collection, but they're looking after them all. And my mum was like, hang on, fucking what? I bought you that Pokemon deck with the Machamp, and this kid's fucked off with them. So my mum immediately made me get the phone and call the kid and confront them. I was like, you need to give me my Pokemon cards back. And I did, but that taught me a lot about catching them all.
I think that is a valuable lesson. It's almost, as someone who knows you, that seems almost like an origin story.
Now, on reflection, it actually makes a lot of sense.
And then I stood up and I said, I shall never be finessed again.
And then I confronted someone really soon, maybe sooner than I should have.
I got in trouble.
And then caused a problem I had to apologise for, and then moved on. Anyway, to catch them all, the real quest. Mm-hmm. The true quest.
Weirdly, I don't really, despite thinking about Pokemon a lot, maybe more than I should as an adult, I don't really think, the card game, if anything, was not my main interaction with it. I liked the cartoon and the video games.
Well, the video games, of course.
Yeah.
Incredible games. I mean, so for
Were
me...
Were they good? Do you think they were good, actually, as good games?
You don't... Are you saying that you don't think the Pokemon games are good? They taught you everything. It was a quest. It was collection. It was an adventure. You went city to city, beating fools down, getting your respect, working your way up the ranks to the Elite Four, where you would then prove yourself as the Pokemaster. How can you not fuck with that?
You should have narrated the original games. I want to play now. I was like, I want to be a Pokemon Master too.
I'm the real Professor Oak. I'm Professor Oak in a bear costume. No, but for real, I feel like the game had so many good lessons. You know, you'd go and fight these gym leaders. You would train. It, like, taught you a lot about, like, you know, like, I don't know if this is quite the right phrase, but, like, delayed gratification. As a kid, it's like, I'm going to train my Pokemon. I can't just be good at this immediately. I've got to go city to city. I've got to go state to state. Fight for my right to be the Pokemaster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it teaches you ambition as a child. I think that's good. And this goes to my theory of just like, I think you should give kids video games as early as possible because they will be learning skills that, you know, using computers and that are going to be valuable in real life. I think Pokemon, clearly, you got some philosophy out of Pokemon, and I think that is respectable.
And also, let's not forget Pokemon Yellow, where the little Pikachu follows you around the entire game.
So cute.
The humble Pikachu follows you around the whole game. And
the mighty Pikachu.
The mighty. Eventually, but he becomes mighty.
Yeah, but he has to learn as well. This is the thing about the TV show. There was often lessons about like confronting your fears. I actually watched an episode of the old Pokemon quite recently. I have this thing of just like, you know how some people watch TV and YouTube videos because they enjoy them. I don't do that. I watch stuff out of curiosity because I want to know better. For example, I'm going to completely ignore this Pokemon thing and instead talk about another little project I've been doing. I have recently been watching random episodes of a program called Sex in the City. Now let me explain why.
Just undoing all of the stuff you said earlier about liking girls. No, I'm joking. Anyway.
So, I've been watching this show, Sex and the City. I'd never watched it before, but there was I read an article saying that, like, it's crap now and no one likes it, and I was just like, girls have been going on and on about this show being good, and, you know, mainly as a way to get me to shut up about The Sopranos, I assume, because they were on at the same time. Whatever. Anyway, so I've been watching it out of, like, anthropological curiosity. I want to know what it was like to be an outrageous woman in New York in the 90s, and I feel like I've actually learned quite a lot. I think it's like the cheat codes, people. So any guys out there that, you know, sometimes you feel like you don't really oh, women, you don't really understand them. You don't know what they're about. You don't know what they actually want. Watch Sex and the City, because the whole show is just 4 women doing whatever the fuck they want at any given moment and making all the justifications for it. And it's kind of great because you can just be like, oh, that's what women really want.
Okay. So, okay. As a humble man, who I would say is a bit hapless with the ladies, but in the game at least, right? What is an insight that I can take into my dating life as a hopeless, hapless idiot of a man
That you could learn from...
to do better with women, not to try and finesse or trick women into being with me, because that never works. But like, what lessons can I learn about how women work so that I can improve my relationships with women, or just like be on the same page as a woman? What have I learned from sex? What can I learn from Sex and the City?
Sex and the City is 20 years old, right? And in the preceding 20 years, the following 20 years since that's happened, is that we've seen a rise in political correctness, activism, and all sorts of things that have changed mainstream women culture. Okay. But in the 90s, there was much less of that, and people were really like out for themselves. Like there was still like this 80s like, fuck you, I'm gonna like succeed, and I'm gonna be this powerful woman and do all this. And so it's insightful because it's characters that are going like, I want this thing, and I'm not going to make any kind of like concessions to you or like anyone else. So you can watch it and you can be like, oh, that's what that's what women really want, and they're not going to pretend to be nice about it. So it's good because you can watch it and be like, okay, I'll just emulate what these crazy New York women who shop and buy shoes all the time. Because that's really what's happened. And I think when women watch it now, they're like, oh, this is really politically incorrect, which is amusing in and of itself. So what can you learn from dating? I don't know. Actually, I'm. You know what? It's an ongoing process. I need to watch more.
It's an insight into like the way women honestly think, at least at one point in time. The question is, has women's thinking moved on from the Sex and the City days, or have they just started lying about how they feel? I don't know. That's a question as someone that has watched one episode in passing whilst you've been watching it.
I think, and to take it off women for a moment, I think people are less honest in general. It's not about the genders. I think back before, I would blame social media is partly for it. That like social media has taught people it's taught people how to present themselves, to present a version of themselves that people want to see. Before social media, you couldn't really do that. You just had to. I mean, people pretended and did all sorts of things, but like there wasn't as many smoke screens, as many options for building a persona. So when you watch stuff from that era, people are just a lot more like real about their genuine desires, their material desires of just like, I want money, I want designer brands, I want to be powerful in my office, and something that you see in 90s sitcoms in general is women going like, oh, I'd love to have a doctor as a boyfriend, or I'd love to have a pediatrician, and you just don't see that in modern sitcoms, like that whole ambitious dating. You don't see, and I just think that's a really like interesting anthropological change.
Let me change gears on this a second, right? Because I think there's something really interesting in there that affects more like wider celebrity. So I've got a bit of an underlying theory in the back of my head, one of my many stupid underlying theories, just about how I think, or at least a hypothesis of how I think the world might work, not necessarily how I want the world to work. I've got a theory that it doesn't just relate to Donald Trump. I don't know why I did the quote marks. He's not someone I want to speak about. Donald Trump, if that is a real thing. Of just like, I think at least at the moment there is a phenomenon of like, you can access fame and fortune very quickly if you find a way of broadcasting your true unfiltered feelings in a way that either makes people uncomfortable or feel familiar. Trump did it because it was just like, oh, politicians don't say. He's just saying whatever's on his mind. So if it's really bad. But like, there's that. Better example, Cardi B. When she jumps on social media, she just speaks her shit. She just talks her shit. It's her vibe. It's not prepared. It's not rehearsed. It's raw. She's just out there going, coronavirus, fuck this shit. And it's like, and she also through her great music, but it's like this attitude, this demeanor of just being dead serious, reducing the filter between her brain and the stuff that she's putting out there has led her to fame and fortune. I just have this funny feeling that it's like that little essence that at least nowadays can get people to the promised land of fame and fortune.
I couldn't agree more, and I think it's authenticity. That's what mainstream culture is lacking right now. When mainstream culture is just filled with the same names, the same IP regurgitated and like recycled constantly, that when people smell real authenticity, when they're like, wait, is that something sincere and real and a genuine expression of that personality? Wow, I haven't smelt this smell since before the new millennium.
Since before Twitter was invented.
Yes, but you're right in that, like, I think audiences, they are much cleverer than so-called experts will have you believe.
Yeah.
And a real audience can sense authenticity immediately, and they respond to it. And you're right, I think Cardi B is a really good example of that, in that she is living her real life.
Yeah.
And anyone who's coming afterwards, it just seems like an imitator. But that's the thing. When real authenticity comes in, it is followed by a tsunami of imitators.
Yes.
And I can't speak to that in the hip-hop realm, but that's certainly when something big and real comes along, you see the
wave of imitations. Hey, it happens everywhere, though. It happens on YouTube, happens in hip-hop, happens in movies. It happens in business. Anytime someone does well with something, the natural inclination is for a bunch of people to follow suit, trying to get those same riches. But I think that it's like, different people's... You just can't fake it. It's like Cardi B's brand of honesty and personality is just unfakeable. And, I'm sure Nicki Minaj has been seething for the last 10 years that Cardi B has sort of come in and taken her trap. But, like, Cardi B's personality is unique, and whether or not you think it's more interesting than Nicki Minaj's, that's another question. But her perspective and her personality is so unique that you can't fake it. You can't copy it. You can't come along and be Cardi B. You can't clone Cardi B. Some girl just comes along and starts acting like Cardi B.
She's genuinely an original. And I think... the way she said coronavirus is a perfect example of that. Just like, she only needed to say it in a funny way that was hers, and now whenever I say it like she does.
Yeah.
So clearly she's got the source. She's connected. She's in the zone, man.
And no company could have come up with that. Do you imagine like fucking, you see all these like, not woke, but like these brands trying to interact with people and be personalities on Twitter. Do you imagine the fucking Wendy's Twitter account trying to come up with, we need to be viral. We need to be ourselves like Cardi. What does it take to be ourselves? It's like Cardi, it's just the unfiltered, reducing the gap between her brain and the fucking thing recording her and just getting it out there. It's genius.
And this goes back to what I was saying about Sex in the City, in that, like, it's engaging because it's these people who are not, like, these characters who don't worry that they're being horrible.
Yeah.
That here's just a thesis for creativity in general, and I think that really great creatives are not afraid to put their own bad character into their work.
Ooh.
To be like, because the most interesting artists aren't those who are like really admirable. This is what I don't like about like people. Twitter once again is the villain here,
totally.
Of saying like, an artist has got to be like, really admirable, and they've got to have these values and push them. It's just like, no, actually, like, some of the best creators are very peculiar, maybe quite morally compromised people, and like Hemingway. He's famous, you know his name.
I know the name.
He was an arsehole, but
really?
He was a very interesting arsehole. I won't go into what he was up to, but like, he wasn't afraid of being like, I'm gonna air some strange and odd observations about life and just let them sit. But people who aren't afraid to just be like, this is who I am, warts and all. Some of you might hate this, but I know other people will relate.
And it's like, that can be where it goes wrong, because it's the people that want the benefits and the riches and the success of doing that, but they're sitting around going, what does Twitter want to hear me say? What will YouTube respond best to? How can I try on the perfect opinion to get me the most attention? That shit don't work.
No. Because opinions, the correct opinion might get you attention, but what people are responding to is the opinion, not you.
Yeah,
if you want them to respond to you, you gotta it's not about having opinions, it's about being a weirdo and then living your best version of it.
Totally.
I think that's true.
You got to carve out your own voice, your own space, you got to go your own way. You got to get out there and just like fucking just let it hang out. Problem with that is that, for every Cardi B that ends up becoming a great success, you might just get cancelled and fucking thrown on the bonfire for your stupid opinions. And you know what? That is the game that you're playing.
Yeah.
So at your own risk.
It's all a competition at the end of the day. You just gotta put yourself in the ring.
Put yourself in the ring. Slide in that ring. Slide yourself in that ring. Squeeze in there. And don't leave. Ever. Until you are dead. That's my motto. And also, don't forget to catch them all.
Catch them as soon as you can. What else is going on in our life anyway?
We're boring, man. There's never anything. That Stain is the most exciting thing that's happened to me this year. God damn it. And I might do another Stain. I might do another Stain! Because I'm bored. Should we do another Stain? What should we stain next?
The walls.
Stain
in
the
blood.
Walls. We could stain the walls. Blood. In blood. I've always loved, I don't know what it is, but those weird spooky characters that appear in things where they'll always like say something seemingly normal but then change it to something spooky of just like oh, I'll get myself a drink of your blood.
The speaking louder menacing part of the sentence joke. Yeah, that is that's tried and tested. That's good stuff. It's very, very Simpsons related.
It's like, oh man, no, actually it wasn't funny.
Well,
I thought I had one now. I thought I had a hot one, but it's gone.
I was going to bring up the Simpsons joke of I said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. Isn't it like there's a...
Let's just say it moved me to a bigger house!
There you go. You got it. That gag is so good that its phrasing has like continued on. Like I'll see it in my own head. I'll see a politician say something and I'll be like, oh shit, he said the loud part quiet. He said the quiet part loud, rather. That was the bit that you're supposed to hide there, buddy. And that's some comedy, some jokes are actually like profound observations, and others are poopy, pee-pee, jokey. Look at the smell I've made.
It's I'm thinking a lot about language recently because it's like again, not to talk about the news and politics again, but it's just like I feel like, especially in the UK, there's an epidemic going on with language. And you see any politician on the news and they're not saying anything, they can't answer a straight question, and it's like, I looked the other day, it was a transcribed, written down statement of something a politician had said in response to an answer where they dodged the question. And it was just nonsensical. It was complete word soup of just like, okay, why is everyone dying? And you're in charge. Why is everyone dying? Can you tell us why that's happening? You are literally in charge. And it's just like, well, the situation is a constant changing. It's a constant changing version of events that we're currently trying to get a grasp on. Everybody's struggling with this. It's just like, those words don't correspond to what you were asked. It gets me so riled up. But I don't know, I feel like at the moment people are
I could just rage. People tear something apart, much like the mighty bear. Oh, come on, just do your best bear. It's the final part.
That's me raging at politics. I prefer to channel the power of the humble ox. Wait, no, not ox. The mighty ibex.
Oh, I love ibex.
But my problems with my head. Get away. The mighty dog? The humble dog.
The mighty dog.
No, it's, you know what? It's peak, man. Like, let's be real for a second. It's shit out there. The world's bad. It's really sad. So it's like, oh, man, there's so little to look forward to. I mean, you got to hang in there, but it's just like, I don't know. I would think others watching this now might agree that it's hard out there. There's few things to look forward to, be interested in.
Yes.
I don't have the answers.
If you're here, close to us, near the end of the podcast, if you've got this far, why don't we give you a little bit of hope? Because, yes, it seems hopeless, and it certainly seems hopeless for us who've been stuck inside for a month. But,
sorry,
there is a future, and you just never know what's going to happen. Maybe some real bad stuff's going to happen. Oh no, I can't be hopeful. No. We got to hope, and you got to think of building a future together, and think of other people when you're doing it. And
that's true.
Oh God, I can't even.
I was like, this guy's mustering up an uncharacteristically large amount of positive energy.
I really thought I was going to Dead Poet Society.
I know.
I was going to stand on my chair and just be like, "Don't worry, everyone, it's going to be okay." And then I just like fall off my chair and I've broken my ankle.
For like,
it's all bad and it's going to be forever.
No, my ankle's broken.
Don't hope or anything. Fuck school.
Oh, his ankle's broken. We're going to have to put him down like a mighty horse.
And now he is nothing but a humble glue stick.
We have at least turned him into food for the mighty dog.
Do they actually turn horses into glue?
I don't know.
Seem...
Do they turn horses into glue?
Well, that can be the end question for the podcast. Do they turn horses into glue, Ross? Yes or no?
Only the hoof bits.
I'm going to say probably not anymore, but they definitely used to. Thanks for listening to the podcast, everyone. This has been a uniquely rambling vision, but I'm just glad that you guys are here because we're going to keep being here too.
We're never going to not be here.
That's certainly what it feels like.